Have you ever watched your whole world collapse through the window of a restaurant? It's the same window where you once saw a future, a promise, a forever. I was sitting in my car across from the Astor in Chicago, the rain blurring the neon sign, watching my wife Clara laugh with another man in the very booth where I asked her to marry me 8 years ago. His hand was on hers, right where my ring used to be, before she started claiming it irritated her skin. She was wearing the red dress, the one I loved, the one she'd told me she was saving for our anniversary next week. Every detail was a perfectly sharpened knife twisting in my gut. I had followed a ghost of a suspicion here, a whisper in my soul that had grown into a scream over the past few months, and the reality was a monster I wasn't prepared to face. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a desecration of a memory I held sacred. And in that moment, watching them order champagne, I knew this wouldn't end with tears or a quiet divorce. It would end with fire. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It started subtly. Late-night texts she'd angle the phone away to read, a small, secretive smile playing on her lips. "It's just my sister," she'd say, the lie so smooth it was almost convincing. Then came the work dinners that stretched into the early morning hours, her clothes smelling of a cologne that wasn't mine. I was a fool. I was a trusting, loyal husband who believed in the vows we took under that old oak tree in Lincoln Park. I'd built my life around her, a fortress of love and security, and I never imagined the enemy was already inside the gates. She became cold, distant. My touch, which she once craved, now made her flinch. She'd look at me with a mixture of pity and annoyance, as if my very presence was an inconvenience. The man she was with, I soon found out, was Mark, a slick real estate developer she'd met at a conference. He was everything I wasn't, flashy, arrogant, dripping with a smug confidence that made my skin crawl. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their bubble of deceit, laughing at the clueless husband at home paying the mortgage on the house where they'd probably been together. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I'd come home early, wanting to surprise her, holding a bouquet of her favorite lilies. I found a receipt on the kitchen counter, a hotel, the Peninsula Chicago on Superior Street, for a 2-night stay. Last weekend, the weekend she told me she was on a wellness retreat with her friends. My hands shook, the flowers falling to the floor. The air left my lungs. I sank to the cold tile, the receipt crinkling in my fist, a flimsy piece of paper that had just detonated my entire life. That night I didn't confront her. I watched her sleep, this stranger in my bed, and the love I had for her curdled into something cold and hard. The grief was a physical weight, crushing my chest. But beneath the grief, a single, clear thought began to form. Revenge, not allowed. Messy fight, but a quiet, calculated demolition. I became a ghost. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who knew the city's dirty secrets. I needed proof, hard, undeniable proof. While Clara was out on her late-night meetings, I was meeting with my lawyer, a shark named Ms. Albright, who had a reputation for leaving her opponents with nothing but the clothes on their backs. We found out Mark was in the middle of a massive, career-defining deal to develop a new luxury condo tower on the riverfront. His reputation was everything. Clara, meanwhile, had just launched her own boutique PR firm, funded by a joint account I had poured my life savings into. They were building their future on the ruins of mine. I gathered everything. Photos of them kissing in a parking garage in the West Loop. Bank statements showing lavish gifts she'd bought him with our money, recordings of their whispered phone calls. Each piece of evidence was a stone I was carefully placing for the trap. The day I chose for the exposure was the launch party for Clara's new firm. It was held at a swanky gallery in River North, filled with potential clients, investors, and the city's social elite. Mark was there, of course, playing the supportive friend. Clara was radiant, floating through the room, accepting congratulations, completely oblivious. I had arranged for a large screen to display a slideshow of her work. At exactly 9 p.m., as she stepped up to the microphone to give her speech, the slideshow changed. The first image that flashed on the screen, 10 feet high, was a crystal-clear photo of her and Mark, locked in an embrace at the Peninsula. The room went silent. A collective gasp sucked the air out, and another photo and another. Them at the restaurant, them in his car. The final slide was a bank statement. With every personal purchase she'd made for him highlighted in red, totaling over $50,000, Clara froze, her face a mask of horror. She looked at me, standing silently at the back of the room, and her eyes held pure, unadulterated hatred. Mark tried to slip out, but my pie was blocking the door. The whispers in the room grew into a roar of scandal. Clients started walking out. Our investors were on their phones, their faces grim. It was a complete and utter implosion. The next day, Miss Albright filed for divorce, presenting the mountain of evidence. The judge, a stern woman who did not suffer fools, awarded me everything. The house, the savings, and she even made Clara liable for the business debts she'd accrued. Mark's big real estate deal collapsed within a week as the scandal hit the papers. His partners pulled out, and his reputation was shattered. They were ruined, socially and financially destroyed by the very secrets they thought were so safe. I sold the house. I moved out of Chicago. I never saw her again, but I heard she was working as a waitress somewhere in the suburbs, the ghost of her former life haunting her every move. Sometimes, when the rain hits the window just right, I think of her laughing in that restaurant booth, and I feel nothing at all. The end.